climbed this with my puppy behind me, and at the top I got the greatest panorama of my whole journey. The GoPro footage here does not accurately capture the colors. They were deeper in person, richer. The light was as orange as I've ever seen it, and distant thunderstorms laid delicate veils of black lacy rain over the distant desert. I had been so disappointed to miss it 8 years ago, and it took me all those 8 years to get back and see it for real. And I had made it by, 45 minutes to spare over my previous time? To be here, at this moment, in this eternal Idaho sunset, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted out of the whole experience. This is what I came out here to find. I couldn't explain it to the puppy, and I couldn't explain it much to myself, but she wagged her tail and seemed to be happy for me all the same.
It's spring break at the time of writing this, and I've noticed a repeating issue.
Stand by for Titanfall.
I keep getting bored. And by that, I mean I'd put on some game, like Titanfall 2, and maybe only after like 1 or 2 matches, I'd just exit out of the game and look for something else to do. I'd put on some random Netflix show like Jessica Jones or whatever, and just flip it off immediately, without even thinking about it. Then I'd flip back to Titanfall 2, and so on, just trying to find something to pass the time. Maybe it's not boredom, it's more like a combination of unmotivation and indecisiveness. I mean, I was truly waiting for this moment. Almost all senior year, I've been waiting with bated breath for the chance to do the things I've always wanted to do. Make something, watch something, consume something, do something. But there lies the problem. There are simply too many somethings to do. I get worried about wasting time, anxious that I'm using up time that can be spent on something more justified or useful. Strangely enough, I did end up finding a piece of content that met that justified criteria I'd set out for myself. Of all things, it was a Minecraft mod showcase series titled Yoglabs by the YouTube channel Yogscast Lewis and Simon.
Bam. You just absorbed the soul of Hammy Hamster.
Okay, what's that done?
Oh my god. Oh.
What's happening to me?
Yeah. Oh. Did that hurt? That was supposed to hurt. I hope that hurt a lot. All of your bones. Hello?
I'm in agony!
Can you-
Oh my god!
Can you move?
The series debuted when I was around 12 years old, and while it's easy to say these videos are well put together and legitimately still hilarious, that's just not enough to describe how wonderful these little bits of absurdity are. These mod showcases still, to this day, fill me with a kind of joy that I've found to be quite rare across all the YouTube content I've consumed. They just make me smile, and when I say smile, I don't mean a friend texts you a meme or something and you reply lol and spam laughing emojis or whatever. I mean, literally, staring at my screen, smiling. So as I was sitting there, at last fixed on something that would hopefully hold my interest for a great deal of time, I began to wonder why exactly these videos spoke to me. What was the special ingredient that tied everything together? Honestly, I had no clue. I mean, what was it? A series of videos about 2 people I don't know mucking about in a game I could play myself, doing silly things that in no way, shape, or form affected my life. And somehow, in some indescribable way, it all meant something to me. And that's all I could really say about it. It meant something. It was meaningful. What even is meaning to someone? Importance? Inability to tax the emotions? When someone says a gift they received meant a lot to them, what does that mean? I don't know. The idea of meaning is an intangible one, and intangibility is a particularly strange beast. It shouldn't make sense, yet it does. We shouldn't be able to understand it, but the message is always unmistakably clear. It's a paradox, an oxymoron, and I love it. I love it because it's so easy to get, so easy to tell when someone else gets it. It's so obvious when someone else feels a sense of meaning and power in the things they do. You hear it in their voice and their words, and even though sometimes the words can't say everything, you can usually tell how much what they're saying means to them.
8 years ago, I had come to Craters of the Moon in a 1973 Mercury Marquis with my friend Jed, and we had arrived maybe an hour too late after the sunset to see anything. This day, I had been pushing the bus as fast as it was willing to try and go to make it in time, and the sunset was already on me when I was 10 miles away from Craters of the Moon. But sunsets out here linger, and there was enough time to get to the Inferno cone in the center of the monument before the light died out entirely. I climbed this with my puppy behind me, and at the top I got the greatest panorama of my whole journey. The GoPro footage here does not...
Noah Caldwell-Gervais is a writer and YouTube video essay creator who, from what I found, enjoys finding meaning in everything, and ultimately is the reason behind why I'm writing this. On his channel right now stands a series of videos titled Simply Travel, and in it, Noah, while accompanied by his fiancée and dog, fulfills his lifelong dream of trekking across the United States. These multi-hour videos are mostly, and when I say mostly, I roughly mean 99% dashcam footage with a voiceover, and it's so weirdly, unapologetically unique. Without context, most of what Noah ends up talking about is pretty run-of-the-mill. He'll go from describing his tours through national monuments, to explaining his observations of nature preservations, to even just recalling the views he captured whilst flying down the dirt roads of the US countryside. But it'd be completely inaccurate to say he just describes the visuals he experiences on his journey. He tells stories, he gives history lessons, he shares ideas that pop into his head as a result of all that he's discovered. And even all this stuff, combined, isn't the entire reason as to why this series of videos speaks so loudly to me. So, what's so damn special? Well, here's a quote from the final travelogue. To be here, at this moment, in this eternal Idaho sunset.
This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted out of the whole experience. This is what I came out here to find. I couldn't explain it to the puppy, and I couldn't explain it much to myself. But she wagged her tail and seemed to be happy for me all the same. On that other road trip back towards the beginning of my...
In some strange way, this little chunk of text, in my mind, sums up the whole point of Noah's big trip. It meant something. Something indescribable, sure, but something nonetheless. And that means so much to me. It's not just joy, it's fulfillment. This is something he's always wanted to do because, I don't even know if he knows, but I'm so happy for him. You can hear it. You can really hear how much this whole endeavor meant to him in his words. So I listened because there's something here worth having, worth experiencing, worth doing something for. It's tough because you can never really describe things like this. Again, back to the whole intangibility thing, I can't really justify all the things I'm saying with logic. I'm kinda just using all the things scrambling around in my brain, all this fluff that's just sorta flowing out. But I kinda like that, to be honest. I like that I can make this, that I can just study myself and the world in no particular order and just enjoy it, even if it doesn't make sense. Because, from what I've learned, it doesn't have to mean something.
Now the best thing to do as a hamster is to infiltrate the party, the staff Christmas party. Stop giggling, it's a serious mission. This is a stealth technology developed by the government. And